This is the story of a poor young girl who sold matches in the street. This story took place a long, long time ago on a New Year's Eve. It was snowing heavily, and it was severely cold outside. In the cold and the darkness, there walked along the street a poor little girl. She had no extra clothes to cover herself from the cold. And she had no shoes to save her feet from the freezing cold. She had slippers on when she left home, but they were much too large for her feet. They were her mother's slippers. She sold matches for a living. That day, she left home to sell matches on the street as usual.
Oh God, it is snowing heavily. It is too cold today. What will I do? If I don't go to sell matches, my family will not be able to buy food.
She decided to brave the cold and sell matches. She was just about to cross the street when a horse carriage sped towards her. She was scared, and she ran across the street to save herself. She had lost both her slippers while she was running.
Oh, my slippers. I need them. My legs are getting cold.
She was just about to cross the street when a boy grabbed her slippers and ran away with them.
Hey, stop. Those are my slippers.
But the boy didn't. He ran away. So the little girl continued walking with her bare feet. Her feet had turned blue in the chilling cold.
My leg. They are paining. Oh, it's so cold today.
In an old apron that she wore, she had bundles of matches, and she also carried a bundle in her hand. She sat a corner in the street and waited for customers to buy matches from her. She waited for a long time, but no one came to her. She never lost her hope and continued to wait for customers. It was snowing heavily now. The poor little girl was shivering with cold and hunger. The snowflakes fell on her long hair, and she wiped it off of her shoulders. She smelled a roasted goose being cooked at a nearby house.
People are celebrating today, but there's nothing to eat at my house. God, please help me to sell some matchsticks.
The little match girl then continued to wait for a customer.
Oh God, please help me to sell these matches. I also want to buy a goose for my family.
She tried keeping her little feet underneath herself to cover from the cold, but that was of no use. She wanted to go home because of the cold, but then what would she tell her family? Her father would definitely be angry at her if she returned home without any money in hand. She looked around at the beautiful mansions in the street. She thought about her home. It had only a roof above, and that too was full of holes. Her little hands were nearly frozen with cold now.
I can light a match to warm my fingers.
So at last, she drew one match out and struck it. It gave out a warm, bright flame like a little candle, and she held her hands over it. The fire warmed her fingers.
Oh, it feels so good. I'm getting better now.
But once the flame went out, she started feeling the cold again. So she rubbed another match against the wall. It burned brightly. Then a miracle happened. She could see through the wall where the light of the match fell. She could see what was going on inside the house. She was being pushed into the world of fantasy. She could see everything in that room. There was a white cloth spread on the table, and there were some nice plates arranged on top of it. A stuffed roasted goose was placed at the center, and it had a delicious smell. Then she saw something she couldn't believe. The goose jumped from the dish with a knife and fork still in its breast, and it ran straight towards the little girl. But the match went out, and everything vanished quickly. Then she lit another match. This time, she saw another fantasy. She was under the most beautiful Christmas tree, larger and far more prettily decorated than the one she had so far. She was fascinated by that Christmas tree. She walked forward and stretched out her hands to touch them, but then the match went out. Then she struck another match. This time, she saw a long trail of light in the sky.
Huh? It looks like a star has fallen from the heavens. It seems someone is going to die tonight.
It was her grandmother who told her that if a star falls from the sky, then someone will definitely die to send the soul back to heaven. She struck another match against the wall. In the brightness, she saw her dear old grandmother. She loved her grandmother a lot. Her grandmother always showered her with love and kindness. She moved the light to the front and saw the smiling face of her grandmother. She was so happy to see her grandma right there. Then she started crying.
Oh, dear Grandma, please take me with you. I know you will go away when the match burns out. You too will vanish, like the New Year's feast and the beautiful Christmas tree.
The little match girl didn't want her grandmother to leave. She knew that her grandmother will vanish when the light burns out. So this time, she lit the whole matchsticks together. The match burned a shining light. Grandmother then came close to the little girl. She looked at her with compassion. She took the little girl in her arms and flew up into the sky. They flew far above the earth, away from cold and hunger, to the heavens. The next morning, people gathered around the dead body of the little match girl. She was frozen to death the previous night. Her body was leaning against the wall with a smiling face. People wondered how could anyone die with a smiling face, but no one could imagine the beautiful things she had seen, or how happily she had gone with her grandmother into the heavens.
Thumbelina. There was once a woman who was very lonely and decided to go visit her friend, the fairy.
Hello, dear. What brings you here?
Dear fairy, I'm so lonely. I wish I had a little daughter, even if she was a teeny-weeny one.
Well, you are a dear friend, so I will help you. Take this grain of barley and go home and plant it in a flower pot.
But I want a little girl. What will I do with a grain of barley?
Trust me and do as I say. You will receive a very pleasant surprise.
The woman went home and planted the grain of barley like the fairy had told her to. The next morning, she was amazed to see that the grain had grown into a beautiful flower resembling a tulip, with its soft petals still shut tight.
This is so beautiful. I have never seen anything like it.
The woman held the flower tenderly and kissed it. Immediately, the petals opened, and there lay a beautiful tiny girl.
Oh my God. She's so pretty and dainty. I shall call her Thumbelina. And I must thank my friend the fairy for such a lovely gift.
The woman gently lifted the little girl from the flower.
Now let me see how I can make her comfortable. This walnut shell shall be her bed, and I think these flower petals can be used as a mattress and blanket.
The woman placed Thumbelina on a tulip petal floating on a plate during the day. How happy Thumbelina was! She drifted around on her little lake, singing in the most sweet voice ever. One night, when Thumbelina was fast asleep in her tiny walnut shell, a horrible-looking frog saw her from the window.
Who is this tiny thing? She's so pretty. I think she will make a fine bride for my dear Toady and a very good daughter-in-law for me.
The frog hopped inside and carried away the sleeping Thumbelina to the pond.
Oh, where are you? I am so hungry.
Stop complaining all the time. Look what I have brought for you. This beautiful creature will be the perfect bride for you.
Croak, 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 croak.
Yes, I know you are very excited. Now we have to make a nice bridal room in the marsh so that you can marry her and stay there with her.
Croak, 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 croak.
The croaking noise woke up Thumbelina. She looked around, feeling very scared on seeing the frog and toad.
She is awake! She is awake! My bride is awake!
Bride of this ugly-looking creature? Never! His eyes look like they will pop out at any minute.
How dare you! You will marry my son and be a good and obedient wife. I will make sure you can never escape from here.
The frog put Thumbelina on the leaf of a water lily in the middle of the pond. Thumbelina sobbed and cried out for help.
Help! Help! Someone please help me!
Some fish swimming nearby had seen and heard everything.
Look at that poor dear sobbing her heart out. That horrible toad will make an awful husband. Friends, we must not allow the nasty frog and her ugly son to get away with their horrible plan. Come, let us nibble at the root of this lily and set it free.
And so they nibbled and nibbled and nibbled, till the leaf of the lily was free and floated away. Thumbelina sailed past many beautiful places and saw many pretty sights. One day, a big cockchafer saw her and carried her away to a large tree. He was very proud of her and invited all his friends to come and have a look at her.
She looks so weird. She's actually ugly. And she's not one of us. So how can you even think of marrying her? Are you out of your mind?
When all his friends said the same thing, the cockchafer thought they might be right. So he put Thumbelina on the ground and flew away. Poor Thumbelina. She walked and walked in the wood, eating whatever she could find and drinking the dew on the flowers. Summer turned to autumn, and soon the bitter cold winter arrived.
It's getting so cold. Unless I find somewhere to take shelter, I will surely freeze to death. Brrr.
As Thumbelina was walking in a field, she suddenly came across a tiny door.
Ah! I think this must be the house of a field mouse. I hope it is a kind mouse who will give me something to eat and let me stay for some time.
Thumbelina knocked on the door, and very soon it was opened by a mouse.
I am very hungry. Could you please give me something to eat?
What are you doing out in the cold? Come in and warm yourself near the fire. You can share my dinner. I have some hot soup and cheese and bread.
Thank you so much. You are so kind.
Soon Thumbelina had eaten a nice meal prepared by the mouse, and feeling tired, she just wanted to sleep for some time.
Your house is so warm and cozy. May I sleep here tonight? I am really tired after walking for so long.
Well, if you have nowhere to go, you can certainly rest here. In fact, if you can keep my house neat and clean, you can stay here for the whole winter. Can you do that?
Of course. Thank you so much.
So Thumbelina spent the winter with the mouse. One day the mouse said to Thumbelina,
Please clean the house very well, as I have a dear friend visiting me tomorrow.
A friend? Is it another mouse?
No, it's my good friend the mole. Oh, he is so rich. He has such a large home. You know what? I have a great idea. If you could sing sweetly for my friend and tell him some nice stories, he might even marry you. Even though he is blind, he will look after you well and all your worries will be over.
When the mole came to visit, he fell in love with Thumbelina's beautiful voice and asked to marry her.
I'm so happy. I'm sure you both will make a wonderful couple. Let us start making preparations for a summer wedding.
As the mole was leaving the hole leading to the mouse's house, he kicked a sparrow lying there.
Don't kick the poor little thing. Can't you see it's hurt?
Where did this piece of filth come from? These pesky things keep flying all over and don't bother to make a home for winter. The sparrow deserves to die.
Thumbelina was shocked at the mole's behavior. She couldn't imagine how anyone could be so cruel.
Oh, you poor birdie. I will nurse you back to health.
Though the mouse got angry, Thumbelina cared very lovingly for the sparrow till it was strong enough to fly away. As her wedding day was coming closer and closer,
I can't marry that mole. I would rather die. Not only is he stupid and ugly, he is a total savage. And I can't imagine living all my life in a hole. I want to be out in the sun, breathe the fresh air, and see all the lovely flowers and birds. I have to escape from the mouse and the mole.
Suddenly, Thumbelina heard a sound and looked up to see the sparrow she had looked after.
My dear, you are a gentle and kind soul. That horrible mole does not deserve you. Winter is soon going to come and I am flying away to a warm land. Why don't you just hop onto my back and come with me? I will take you far away from the mole and the mouse.
Thank you so much, dear friend. I have to escape from here.
So Thumbelina jumped onto the sparrow's back, and away, away, away they flew to the beautiful land of flowers.
Whee! This is so wonderful.
The sparrow very gently put Thumbelina on the petal of a large yellow flower. Thumbelina was tired after a long journey and immediately fell asleep. The sparrow sat on a tree above, looking after her. A little later, she woke up to the sound of a very gentle voice.
Who is this pretty maiden? I have never seen her here before.
Thumbelina got scared on seeing the stranger.
Oh, don't be afraid. I am the king of flowers. I have never seen anyone as beautiful as you. Will you be my queen?
Suddenly, Thumbelina's friend the sparrow flew down.
Thumbelina, Thumbelina, this is the king of flowers. He is a very, very kind man, and everyone here loves him, I know.
So, my dear, what do you say? Will you be my wife?
The king was so kind and handsome. How could Thumbelina refuse? And so she married the king and became the queen of flowers, living happily ever after.